Australian Mathematics Curriculum, Equivalent Fractions and Simplifying Fractions. Fractions represent a number of parts of a whole amount. We can think of fractions as parts of one on a number line. I could think of fractions here. I've split this bar up into 5 pieces. Nice. And I've selected 2 of them. I can split the bar up into a different number of pieces. I can split the bar up into 10 equal pieces. If I want the same amount, I'll be selecting 4 of those smaller pieces, but you can see it's still the same amount of the whole. A fraction is an amount of the whole. When we write a fraction, as we know, we have the numerator and the denominator. The numerator on the top, the denominator on the bottom. The denominator, those of you who know your French will know that that's name. The denominator names the fraction. It tells me how many parts I cut my whole up into. So if this was the denominator for a pizza, we know we cut pizza up into 8 pieces. I don't know how many pieces of the pizza I'm going to eat yet, but I know that every piece I eat will be 1/8 of the pizza. If I'd been really rebellious and only cut my pizza up into 4 pieces, then every piece I ate would be 1/4 of the pizza. But if I'd cut it up into 8 pieces, if I ate the same amount, I'd be eating 2 slices of a pizza that had been cut up into 8 bits. So my denominator names the fraction. It tells me how many pieces I cut the whole up into, and the numerator, numbers, tells me how many of those pieces I have. So 2/8 says I cut my pizza into 8 pieces and I ate 2 of them. 1/4 says I cut my pizza into 4 pieces and I ate 1 of them. And you can see that's more helpful than just saying I ate 2 slices of pizza, because if I say I ate 2 slices of pizza, I don't know how big they were. What if I only cut my pizza into 2 pieces? I ate 2 out of 2. I ate a whole pizza. But if I say I ate 2/8 of a pizza, I still don't know how big my pizza was to start with, but at least I have an idea of what sort of size of slice I'm talking about. Now, as we can see here, 2/8 and 1/4 are the same thing. They're both exactly the same amount of pizza, assuming those were identical pizzas. These are equivalent fractions. They appear at the same place on the number line. If we go back to the number line here, you will see I've got other equivalent fractions. On the top, I cut my number line into fifths. On the bottom, I cut my number line into tenths, and you'll see that 1/5 is the same as 2/10. 2/5 is the same as 4/10. We illustrated that over here. 2/5 is exactly the same as 4/10. So those are equivalent fractions. We can make equivalent fractions by multiplying the denominator and the numerator by the same number. And we did it with pizza. it's really good to think about pizza when you think about fractions. If I had a pizza that was cut into 4 slices and I had 1/4 of the pizza, if I wanted to represent that as out of 8, then cutting my pizza into 8 doubles the number of slices that I cut it into, but it also doubles the number of slices that I ate. So really, I've taken my 1/4, multiplied by 2/2, and got 2/8. It hasn't changed the meaning because 2/2, anything divided by itself, is 1. I've really only multiplied by 1, which doesn't change the actual amount. It just changes how I write it. So if they ask me to find equivalent fractions, just multiply the top and bottom of the fraction by the same number. Or you can divide the top and bottom of the fraction by the same number. If they ask me for the simplest form of a fraction, it's the form that has the lowest possible numbers in the numerator and the denominator, the lowest whole numbers. Only ever whole numbers in a fraction. And so if they'd given me, it said, all right, you've eaten 3/6 of a pizza, and you wanted that written as simply as possible, ask yourself what number goes evenly into 3 and 6? Well, it's obviously 3. If I divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1, 6 divided by 3 is 2, I will get a half. There's another way of looking at that which we'll do in the following examples. Turn the page. Denominator of 20. Like saying I didn't cut my pizza up into 5 pieces, I cut it up into 20 pieces, but I still ate the same amount. I want to get my denominator to 20. So what do I multiply 5 by to get it to 20? I multiply it by 4. I'm not allowed to change the value, so I'm only allowed to multiply my fraction by 1, so I'm multiplying it by 4/4. That means I'll do 2 times 4 on the top, which is 8, and 5 times 4 on the bottom, which is 20. I've written the fraction with a new denominator. To get a half to be something out of 20, I need to say, well, what do I multiply 2 by to get to 20? If I don't know, if I can't imagine it, divide back. 20 divided by 2, oh, it's 10. I'll be multiplying by 10 on the top and the bottom, still only multiplying by 1. 1 times 10 is 10, 2 times 10 is 20, and you can see that's still a half. 10 out of 20 is a half. But we're just writing it in a different way. Now when I get asked to simplify a fraction, what we're looking for in this one is the highest common factor of 8 and 20, the highest number that goes evenly into both of them. It can't be any bigger than 8, because 8 is the largest number. 8 doesn't go evenly into 20, so check the next factor of 8, which is 4, and that goes into 20. It's the highest common factor. I could write 8 as 2 times 4, and I could write 20 as, 5 times 4. And I'm allowed to separate out my fraction if it's multiplied into 2 different fractions. That's 2/5 times 4/4. And we know that 4 divided by 4 is just 1, and times 1 doesn't change anything, so I can cancel those, and I'm left with 2/5, and it's the same as 8/20. I don't need to show all that working, but that's why this works. We're going over time, I'm sorry. All the working I need to show is 8 over 20 divided by 4 leaves me 2, divided by 4 leaves me 5, 2/5. And 15 over 12, the HCF is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 12 divided by 3 is 4. I've got 5 over 4, and later we'll learn to make sure that we've got a mixed number. That's 4 lots of 4 is 1, leaving me 1 lot of 4 left over.